Putin is scared of Trump. He considers him to be unpredictable. And we'll see whether from now on, Trump is going to be a sort of, psychologically speaking, guarantor of this ceasefire.
Welcome to the program. Oleksandr Merezhko, the Ukrainian MP, who's chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Kyiv. Oleksandr, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're always welcome, Oleksandr. Tell me, first of all, I mean, you've had a chance to cast your eye over the statements after the meetings in Jeddah. What do you make of it? What are your thoughts?
Well, to me, it was quite unexpected because I thought that the negotiations will continue, will drag on maybe for days and so on. But I think politically it's a good situation for Ukraine because, first of all, the United States showed its will to peace. It made this offer regarding ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed, and now the ball is in the court of Putin. And we'll see what will be his reaction, because Ukraine has agreed to this offer, to this ceasefire, without any conditions whatsoever. And now we'll be watching very closely what Putin has to say about this. But from my own experience, you know, I call these situations a triumph of hope over experience.
Yeah,
because
sorry, go ahead, Oleksandr.
Sorry. Experience is about that Russians had violated all kinds of ceasefires previously during the Minsk process.
Yes, yes. And most immediately, Oleksandr, to see the block on intelligence sharing and the supply of US weapons, well, that was the immediate, I don't even call it a breakthrough. It was the removal of an obstacle which should never, you know, arguably should never have been there. It put lives at risk, it put troops at risk on the battlefield, and now we're told America's going to lift that block, which will come as an enormous relief to your troops, but also to your people in the cities of Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely true. I didn't expect it to happen either. To me, it's a very important, pleasant surprise, and to Ukrainian people, that the United States continues to stand with Ukraine, continues to be our ally. You know, after all these disappointments, it's very uplifting, it's very encouraging for us.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's a true sensation.
Yeah, I mean, Rachel Cunliffe and Tim Montgomery are here. I mean, again, we're doing a lot of speculating here, and I'm going to speculate, you know, to the nth degree now, by just speculating. The fact that America have lined up with Ukraine in support of putting together what would be a joint proposal from Ukraine for a ceasefire. Are they sticking their necks out here? Do they have no idea whether or not Russia are going to accept this? Or by the channels, the back channels, behind the back channels that we know, we kind of know are there, has there been some sort of word between the Kremlin and the White House that this will get the necessary reception? What's your thought on that?
Well, in politics, we know that we see only the tip of the iceberg, and I'm sure that there are back channels. There must have been some kind of communication between shuttle diplomacy, as it is called, between the US and Russia. And I don't rule out that there have been preliminary maybe agreements made between Trump and Putin. I don't rule out. But, well, we'll wait and see, because very soon we'll find out whether Putin will attach any kind of conditions or demands. For example, he might demand withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the Kursk region. I don't know. But he is very kind of treacherous, very perfidious politician, unscrupulous, and we'll see what happens next. Yeah,
well, look, of course, you're right to be sceptical, and more than sceptical. Everyone here will certainly understand that. Tim Montgomery and Rachel Cunliffe here too.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, using the expression that I think Marco Rubio used as well. The ball is now in Putin's court, and it will be very interesting. Imagine if Putin doesn't now accept these terms. You know, as you said, Ukraine have accepted these ceasefire terms without conditions. If Putin was now to sort of quibble, it would be very interesting really to test then the American reaction, because I think Trump does deserve some credit for putting the whole idea of stopping this war onto the agenda. It wasn't really on the agenda during the Biden years or during even the end of Biden's time in office. Trump has put this peace talks on the agenda, which I think is to his credit. How he's gone about it, well, we can that is a much more controversial area. But now there's a test, not just for Putin in accepting these terms, but if Putin doesn't accept them, it's a massive test for Trump as well, and how he reacts.
Oleksandr?
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And, you know, it seems like there is a very sophisticated political game is going on. And what politicians say, I mean, Trump and Putin, doesn't necessarily mean what they really imply, what is like beneath the surface. And as of now, we are expecting, we are waiting for reaction of Putin. And after that, will be all the eyes will be set on Trump. What will be his reaction?
Yes. I mean, as you say, ball in Putin's court in so many different ways. I want to come back to one or two points in a moment, but Rachel.
Well, I just think it's interesting, Alexander, you mentioned there that Russia has violated ceasefires before. That is exactly the point that President Zelensky was trying to make in the Oval Office before it all kicked off with J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, and they didn't seem particularly sort of warm to that point. And I just, picking up from what Tim said about how Trump fits into all of this, there has been a sense up until now that maybe he's underestimated the dynamics at play, the psychology of Putin, or that Trump thinks that he can get Putin to act in a particular way. I guess I just think maybe Trump knows something that we all don't. But from the history of how Putin has viewed Ukraine and Russian expansionism over the past few decades, have we had any signs? Is there any reason to believe that this time might be different? Or is the difference that the White House is just so unpredictable at the moment that does change the state of play?
Yes, there is one difference, an important one, and this difference is called Trump, because we'll see whether it is a deterrent enough effect for Putin, because Putin is scared of Trump. He considers him to be unpredictable. And we'll see whether from now on, Trump is going to be a sort of, psychologically speaking, guarantor of this ceasefire. And we'll see whether Putin is scared enough of Trump to continue to hold, to abide by this ceasefire.
Well, yet to be seen to what extent Trump, and in what form Trump is prepared to give any kind of security guarantee, first to a peacekeeping force, if there is one in Ukraine, and beyond that, the long-term security of Ukraine. If this ceasefire happens, if this rolling 30-day ceasefire becomes established, Ukraine will not want that. You will not want that, Alexander, purely to be an opportunity for Vladimir Putin to rearm and to re-recruit and to get more troops ready for frontline action. You will want to use that, Alexander, won't you, to do something to build up Ukraine's defences, not just to fight another war. You hope and pray that won't happen, but to be in a position to deter another attack, and that's going to take a lot of effort.
Yes, absolutely. You know, on the one hand, for us to have 30 days without being killed when we hope that Russians will stop killing us, it's important. We'll save some lives during this. That's why we remain hopeful despite all odds. And at the same time, we should take into consideration that Putin needs this ceasefire, because this year on the 9th of May, it's a very kind of sacred symbolic date for Putin, Victory Day. It's 80th anniversary. And that's why he needs this ceasefire to prove that he's kind of winner, you know, and he's not losing, something like that. So he might need it for propagandistic goals also.
And just another point in this statement from the two sides, which will be enormously important on a very human level, Alexandra, to you and the people of Ukraine, where it talks about the delegations, Ukrainian and American, having discussed the importance of humanitarian relief. And under that heading, they talk about the exchange of prisoners of war, the release of civilian detainees, and the return of forcibly transferred Ukrainian children. Now, we're talking there about thousands of children in those occupied areas that were taken from their families, taken to Russia, redistributed among Russian families with the idea of making them a part of Russian families and Russia. And there are many families in Ukraine, aren't there, Alexandra, feeling the pain of that loss. And that's something that matters. And getting Russia to agree to reverse those things, well, that to Russia, they'll see that as a big ask, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. There are more than 20,000 such children which had been kidnapped from the occupied territories. I know, for example, there are parents who lived in the occupied territories, and Russians told them that we take these your children for summer camps, and they never returned them. You know, there are lots of such stories, but you know, it's under Convention of 1948 on the prevention of genocide. This is an act of genocide. When you kidnap children and you're trying to erase their identity, cultural, national identity. This is exactly what Putin is doing, and that's why he had this arrest warrant from the ICC. But I strongly doubt, unfortunately, I want to believe that Putin will return these children, but unfortunately, I doubt that it will happen.
That is a desperately sad thought. But Alexandra, I know you are so busy now this evening in the aftermath of what we've heard. So I will let you go. Thank you for joining us again, and hopefully we can talk again before too very long. Oleksandr Merezhko, Ukrainian MP, who's chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee